Okay, guys, very, very welcome back to the show today. I've got a very special guest on the show today, a very rare guest, as we talked about earlier off camera, Mr. Kevin Jefferies. He's been in the wrestling business now for 46 years. As
Thanks
a
a lot.
Yeah, I'm not giving away your age or anything like that. He used to be in the WWF. He's a recent inductee to the Cauliflower Alley Club, which we're going to talk about in a little bit as well. So, Kevin, really appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And like I was telling you earlier, this is number two for me for podcasts. I'm just not one that wants to do them. And, I was kind of wormed into this one. And I said, what the heck? It's just close to Christmas. I'll do it. And we'll see how it goes.
The smooth talking co-host Jack Kilby got this one over the line. I think the Canadian connection worked there. I've got an Irish connection, and that got me in through the doors of WWE actually a couple of weeks back. I
Oh,
interviewed our ring announcer, Kevin Patrick, SmackDown ring announcer, and I think my Irish connection helped there as well.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's good to
It's a
have.
pre-
So,
it's a pretty hard place to get an interview, so I was absolutely delighted
yeah.
to be able to do it. Look, back to yourself anyway. The wrestling business, obviously, it's a crazy business at times. How did you decide that you wanted to become involved in it? I know you did do some wrestling as well.
Yeah, I wrestled too, but what really, when I was younger, I was watching it 4, 5, 6 years old on TV, 7, 8 years old, 9, 10. I loved it. I loved watching it every Saturday afternoon. I live in the Okanagan Valley of British Columbia, Canada, and we had a show called All Star Wrestling out of Vancouver that was owned by Gene Kiniski and Sandra Kovacs at the time. And my mom used to let me watch it every Saturday, 1 hour show at 6 o'clock. And I just fell in love with this. I'm just going like, wow, this is, it's different. It's different. And um, when I was 17 or so, I sort of got involved. I went to a show at, uh, at an arena, and I was talking to people and started helping them set up the chairs and set up the rings and all that. And I got to know the referee at that time was Roy McClarty, who's out of Winnipeg, Canada, also. And Roy wrestled oh, umpteen for years and years. He had some amazing
Yeah.
60s Broadway matches with Vern Gagne and all that. But got to know Roy, and then just kept going to the shows in the Okanagan. Ron Kalmakoff and Claude Richmond were the front guys out of Total Entertainment out of Kamloops, BC, and they sort of hired me on to help set up the ring and the chairs and all that. And one day they said, "You want to pick up the guys' jackets at the ring?" And I thought, man, this is cool. I get to pick up their jackets and take it back to the dressing room. I got as far as the door, and they're, "Get out of here! You can't come." And I had to leave the
Yeah.
jacket outside the door and all that. And I'm, damn, you want to go in, you want to see who that masked wrestler is or who's what, eh? But I continued on doing that and going to school at the same time, and then going on weekends and going to Vernon, Kamloops, Kelowna, different shows and all that. And one day in the wrestling ring, age 17, 18 years old in Vernon, BC, I was bouncing around the ropes and all that. Roy McClarty and Eric Froelich were standing there, and Roy says, "Kevin, do you want to wrestle?" And he said I had the biggest smile on my face, and it started there with him training me and all that. So I got into learning a lot of the wrestling, and then come back in, and a few times I refereed matches, and Rory just said, "Man, that comes natural to you." So, but I think it was from all the years of watching the wrestling, I got to do things, taking backdrops and all that, and just everything. I love the drop kick, backdrop. Not all the high flying they do today, but still stuff that made sense and told a story to the people. So it was a lot of fun, and that's sort of how I got into it. So
Yeah.
trained hard and listened.
Can you talk to me about what the training was like under Rory? Like, what did it entail back then, wrestling training?
Totally different from today's training. Roy was tough on me. He was tough, like he'd literally take you in there and he'd show you things. And, when he put the holds on you, he put the holds on you. And, you know, uh, you'd loosen up after, but he put them in when you'd lock up or something. You locked in stiff, really
Yeah.
stiff, all that, and the chops and the punches were a little heavier and that. And there was times in there where he'd just have me going off the ropes back and forth, doing all sorts of things, maneuvers in and out of wrist locks, hammer locks, reversing, teaching that, arm drags and all that. And then I'd get up and I just like literally, I would want to punch him in the mouth because I'm going, oh my God, you just put me. But that's how you learned back then. You just went through it. He never hurt you, never ever. You never ever got hurt unless you got hurt yourself. But he put you through rigorous training, and that's how you got the discipline to be in the business. So in Vernon, one time, Wild Don Waite and Bobby Bass, the Texas Outlaw, I didn't realize they were in the stands sleeping, and I'm in there taking these high backdrops in the ring, and all of a sudden Bobby Bass popped up and goes, "What the hell's going on? Get that kid out of the ring. He's showing me up." And it was funny because after I met Bobby Bass, I said to him, I says, those high backdrops is from watching you on TV and at shows. And I learned to position my hands where you did and go up and over and go as high as I possibly could. So it was kind of neat. And Mr. Bass and I have been close friends ever since. We meet at the CACs every year and all that. But yeah, the tough learning. Roy was a tough learner, taught you tough. Eric Froelich got in there a few times with me, and he'd lock you up where you couldn't get out. Sort of a little bit of the shoot wrestling, chain wrestling, and all that went on. But that's how you learn back then.
Yeah. What point in time, or did there a point in time come in your career where you kind of had to veer off towards the referee and leave the wrestling behind, or what kind of way did that go?
It's not that I ever left the wrestling. It's Roy asked me to ref a couple matches one night, and I reffed them. And he came back in the dressing room after me. He says, "Jesus, KJ," he says, "Man, you're so good at this. You're like it just comes natural to you. I knew when to turn. I knew when not to look. I knew, everything. It just sort of came natural." And I guess again that was from watching and watching. So he asked me. He says, you could referee, you could wrestle, you can do both. So what I ended up doing is doing a lot of refereeing, but then also on shows I would wrestle too when they needed a guy. If someone didn't show up or anything, they needed someone to go in, I'd go in there, or else I'd wrestle a match, the opening match or something, and then referee the main event or something that evening. So, and yeah, it just came natural to me, and I enjoyed it. It was tough on the knees, but I enjoyed it. And yeah, it's one of those things that if you watch the matches, but you got to watch every match. And back then we would watch every match. Moondog Ed Meridian and we would stand out there and watch every single match. That's how you learn. Today, everyone stays in the dressing rooms. They don't go out and watch and see if these guys are doing something that they were going to do in their match, so they're not copying it and that. So it was always study, listen.
Yeah. Which was your preference, looking back, maybe wrestling or refereeing? I know obviously you made quite a name from
They're
refereeing.
both my preference because I love the business so much. And this business, I got to learn everything in the business. I got to learn how to promote and book and, management and agents and all that. I got to learn it all, and from starting out by picking up wrestlers' jackets and setting up chairs and wrestling rings and all that, all the way up to promoting and mentoring and that. I've learned it all. And there's not a day in my life that I have ever been sorry that I got into this business.
Yeah. I was reading an article, I think it came out in 2011, and it had a story about Terry Adonis, it was.
Oh yeah.
And the story with your aunt in the crowd. Do you want to fill people in on that? I thought that was a cool story.
Yeah, it was a match at the Gardens in Vancouver for All Star Wrestling. I believe it was with Al Tomko was the promoter then. So, and Terry and I were having a battle, and I was leaving for a while, and so they just wanted to do a match where Terry literally kicked the living heck out of me and all that, and he had me bleeding and all that. My Auntie Kay, God rest her soul, used to always come to the shows. She actually became good friends with Siegfried Steinke and his wife and all that. So she'd always come to the garden shows whenever her Kevy was there. So she always called me my Kevy, you know. And so she'd sit there and enjoy the show and all that. And the one time they would carry me back to the dressing room and on the stretcher there, and Terry Adonis come flying out of the dressing room after, and I'm bleeding, and he kicked me off this stretcher, and my aunt literally he could not go back to the dressing room. She was standing right there. She had one high heel shoe on, one off. She literally chased him back by the ring, around the ring, all the way back to the dressing room. She wanted to kill this guy for hurting her Kevy, you know. And I got in the dressing room, and he came through from the other dressing room, and he goes, "Jefferies, who the hell was that woman chasing me?" And I said, "That's my aunt. She won't stay. She wouldn't sit still, you know." And so, you know, and I used to tell her always, "Any case, stay in your seat, you know, stay in your seat." And she never would. There was an incident, BCTV studios. I was in a match, and Ed Wiskowski came in and took a cane and hit me in the gut. Well, my aunt got out of the studio chairs and chased him back. You know, nobody was going to hurt. She was protecting family, you know. So, yeah, there was a few times like that. And I used to have to try and tell her, sit down and enjoy the matches. I'm okay. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, fun times.
Do you think that element is kind of lost in the business these days? We touched on off camera, we were talking about social media and websites and different things like that. Do you think that people know too much now about the business, or think they know
Oh,
too
yeah,
much rather?
totally. I mean, social media has really, you know, hurt the business a lot, you know. I mean, today wrestlers wrestle each other, and then right after the show they take a picture with each other and post it on social media. Excuse me, guys. Think. You know, you just finished wrestling this person in a, you know, 15-20 minute match, and you beat the hell out of each other. Then you go on social media and you're standing there smiling with each other, having a cold brew or something. Like, you know, just think about it, you know. So try and bring it back as much as you could to the old way. You know, you got to you know, you got to be smart in this business, you know, to do things. I mean, we used to travel to the shows, and if I was traveling with a heel in the dressing in the vehicle, I'd get dropped off a block or 2 blocks before the building, and then walk the rest of the way or not. So you're not seen with each other. When I first started in WWF, when we went up there, we were separate everywhere in the airports too. You know, you couldn't sit in the same area with the heels and all that. So, but that's gone now. You know, and the fans know it's gone now. It's hard to get the fans to believe in the product like we used to. So, but it's just a different era of the sports entertainment now. And when I was in it, it was called professional wrestling. Today, I call it sports entertainment. Most people do call it sports entertainment. A lot of the kids coming up today that call themselves professional wrestlers, I kind of call them weekend warriors, because they're only wrestling once or twice a weekend. So, you know, where we were on the road 6-7 days a week.
Yeah. When I talk to guys from the 80s into the 90s, they say, one of the guys that Mario Mancini, he's got a show on this channel. He said, I broke into the wrestling business, not
Yeah,
the entertainment
exactly.
business.
Yeah, I broke into the wrestling business. Today I referee, and I referee in the sports entertainment business. Totally different, a totally different way to referee, you know. So, and I'm not knocking the kids of today at all. I never will. I'm behind them 110%. If I can help you out and you come to me, I'm going to help you out no matter what. Why? Because I love this business.
Yeah. I know you just touched on it there. You've still refereeing to this day. What kind of work are you doing now? What kind of promotions are you working for at the moment?
Well, I'm here in the Okanagan. I work for a company, Nick Zelansky. He has a promotion company here called Thrash Wrestling, and he has me quite a few of his shows. They're doing the main events and all that. And just recently, I was up to Prince George. They asked me to come up to Prince George, BC, for a new company out of there, Primetime Wrestling. Stuart Brown is running it. The Mahler up there, and very professionally put together business up there, and they treated me like gold up there, and they've already asked me to come back up there and help them out, and they do a lot for charity. So good
Excellent.
time, and the group that was there is just amazing. So just an amazing time. So I go up there. I don't do more than 2 matches a night, usually 1 or 2 matches a night, and that's it. So
Yeah. What's the main difference now between the wrestling business, as we talked about, and the entertainment business that you're in now? Like, what are the main differences from you, from someone that's been in both?
more entertainment than there is wrestling. That's what it is. It's just all fast action, no sell. It's a no sell business now. They get thrown over the top rope, land down there, and they don't sell. They get up and they get back in there and do something else, flying off the top ropes and landing in the chairs and all that. It's just it's totally different. It's just like it's a Superman type thing, and the sad thing about it is most of the dressing rooms, the matches aren't coordinated. Like these kids, they go out and it's one, they go in there and they do all their stuff. And then the next match goes in there and they're doing half the same stuff that the last match did. And they're not getting together in the dressing room and checking with people or watching the matches ahead of time, and saying, okay, they did this, so let's change our spot that we were going to do and not do that. And that's a real bad problem in the business today.
Yeah. We're going to talk about, obviously, you worked for WWF. I believe it was 1987 when you got your first job in the
Yeah,
WWF
yeah.
there. What I want to know is, how did that situation come about?
I was working for Stu Hart, and Stu put a good word in for me. Moose Murawski out in Vancouver, and Dean Higuchi, Dean Ho put good words in for me. The late great Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith, and they put good words in for me, and I got called up and became a referee with them. So, and they said the same thing there. Bring your other gear too, because you never know if someone's not going to show. But it was pretty well all referee, and I enjoyed it. It was different. It was different, and they treated me very professionally, and they paid me very well, and I got to do a lot and got to meet a lot of new people.
Yeah. Did you see that as the pinnacle of jobs, going to the WWF then at that time?
Going up to the big office was nice, yeah, but honestly, I miss the independent days. The independent days. I mean, when you're in the big office, it's controlled. Like they own you up there and all that. It's you got to do this and this and this and this and this and that. So, and I just miss those 6 and 7 days a week traveling in the independent shows where you were amongst the fans always, like the fans were always there for you and all that, and you'd be involved with them always. And when you got up to those big shows, you didn't see too many of the fans. Like you went out to the ring, you did your match, you came back, went in the dressing room, went did your other match, and then you go back to the hotel, go have a bite to eat, and that the fans weren't as much as around. Now today it's a little different. They're letting them in there more and more. So, and yeah, it was a different era. I mean, WWE, yeah, we'd go 10 days on the road, 3 days off, 10 days on and 1 day off, sort of things. It was a hectic schedule, very hectic schedule, doing all those shows and all that. And again, I would never, I have nothing bad to say about it. I loved it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was life to be involved in professional wrestling. So, I mean, that's better than a 9 to 5 job every day, as far as I was concerned.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. A lot of guys I talked to from that era, the 80s, the early 90s, would be kind of given out about the way the business has gone now in terms of scripted matches and whatever. And they would often just say they'd meet up backstage and they'd ask, what's the finish? And then they'd work the match from there. Was that kind of your experience in those days?
oh yeah, I mean, that's when we were in there. That's it. The finish. You go in there. I mean, as a referee, you go in there and say, "What are you guys doing? We're doing this. Am I involved in something?" If they'd say we need you to do this or something like that, and then it's just otherwise the finish, and that was it. So you didn't have to go through the whole match and all that. And so, and back when we started, we never, we told the referee was told this is going to be the finish in the match, but everything else was called in the ring, and in front of the fans, that's how you got to tell the story the best, is because the fans would tell you what they wanted. If you wanted to squeeze that headlock on them, the fans would be going, do it, do it. It to me, it's easier to get in there and call it in the ring and tell a story in the ring, giving the fans what they want, than sitting in the dress room and going through your match and trying to remember every single move that you got, because I can't do it. I go in these kids in the back now. I go in the back and I hear them going, okay, we're gonna do this, and then we'll go into this, and then into this, and into this, and I'm going, oh my God, all I want is the finish. Give me the finish, because I don't want to hear all that stuff. Because I would, honest to God, I would forget it all. I would forget it all. Like it's just choreographed too much today. So, but again, it's a different era, and look at the shows they're bringing. Look at they're packing coliseums everywhere. So
Yeah.
you can't knock it. It's entertainment, and the fans love it.
Yeah, we're going to obviously touch on the Cauliflower Alley Award in a little bit, but before we do that, I just want to ask you, aside from that, like, what's your proudest moment in the wrestling business?
Um, Actually, my proudest moment is what we'll probably talk about, is the Cauliflower Alley clip.
Yeah,
So
but
that was this
as,
year,
as,
being honored.
aside from that, though, in the ring, like, is there any matches that stand out to you, or any particular moment inside the ring?
Yeah, when I refereed the British Bulldogs, the Hart Foundation, Demolition, those were amazing matches. I never worked with better guys, like I just loved being in the ring with those guys. Jimmy Hart loved to be in the ring with these guys. It just amazing things to do, and those tag matches were just unbelievable. So like, to this day, I'll still say it, and I don't care what anyone says. I still think Bret Hart's one of the best there was in this business ever. So he knew how to wrestle, he knew how to tell a story. So, and he made it look real.
Yeah, that's what any of the guys that have worked Brett said to me. He works snug.
Yeah, he does. He does. Yes.
What do you think is the most important thing about the role of a referee in the business?
The most important thing is giving them space, but being in their face. It's the most important thing, is giving them the room to work, but being on top of them. You're a police officer in there. You gotta be on top of them. There's too many referees that just stand back and they're watching and they're going, what do I do? I don't know what to do here. Get in their face, make it look real. That's the thing. You got to be on them, and don't take no crap in there. That's the thing. Don't let the wrestlers make you look stupid, because if they make you look stupid, I can change that match in a split second. So, like I've always said, I can either make you look really good in that ring, or I can make you look like crap in that ring, and you want to look good. So listen to me. If I don't think you're doing the right thing in there and I tell you to do something different, do it, and it makes sense.
And is there a particular referee that you aspired to be like, or someone that you learned a lot from? Who would that be?
Well, I learned a lot from Roy McClarty, without a doubt.
Mm.
When I was in WWF there, David Hepner was the late great David Hepner was great with me. So out of Canada, Joey Morella is another amazing, guys that I got to work with. So yeah, Dave sort of taught me a lot about when in the WWF, it was a little different. You got to make sure, it was cameras. You got to watch cameras. You got to be off the
Yeah.
camera side and this side and all that. So, but no, taught me a lot of that. So, but no, I have to say probably the guy that taught me the most, and was at the beginning, was Roy McClarty. So, he just he was there. But like Roy said to me, it came natural to me. That's pretty well it. It just came natural to me. I just could sense, in the ring, I could sense with the crowd, if two heels in a tag match were teaming up on one, and I'm with the other one as he comes in the ring. I could totally sense when it's time for me to turn around, and those guys would be smart enough to be one of them would be outside the ring, and I wouldn't see it, and it just gets the fans. But you got to know how to do that. So it's just reading that crowd, listening to the crowd, and listening to the guys in the ring. So.
Yeah. Did you ever get any advice or learn anything from Vince McMahon in your time over there?
Oh yeah, I mean it was he was good to me when we had our chats and all that, and it's always just treat everyone with kindness, whether you like them or not, and go in there and do the job the best you can. So so it's just yeah, he was very good. Jack Lanza and Chief J Strongbow were very good with me as road agents. Tony Gurria, who I see every once in a while at the Cauliflower Alley Club, was another one that was, very good with me. So, and I got to get to know Tony a bit because he was tag team champions with my very close friend, the late great Dean Ho, Dean Iguchi, and all that. So, yeah, it's just, the advice you get from these guys is just amazing. So, I mean, even when I started out in WWF, being in the ring and a young Sam Houston's wrestling in there, Sammy would even tell me, position yourself here and there, which helps out. So a lot of, that's a lot of the guys help me out with positioning and all that. So.
Yeah, I've talked to Sam on the show as well. Really nice guy. So there is a story out there in the web about Mr. Hulk Hogan specifically asking you to referee one of his matches with
Yeah,
King
that
Kong.
was that was the Seattle match and all that. I believe it was Seattle, Washington. Yeah, so I think it was Jay Strongbow or Jack Lanza came to me and says, Hogan says, he'd like you to ref his match, which was nice. And that's when I was just starting out. So, and I never ever thought, like I said to Dave Hebner, I never ever thought because Dave would do those matches, and all this, and it was a house show and that. And you never get it, but it's a nice pat in the back when someone who's their main event guy comes up to you and says, I'd like to have KJ do my match, and I let him do it. And I think Joey Morella, stepped back that night for that to happen, which was really good. So, and I got praised in the back after about it, so which was good, and I like that. So yeah, I was nervous as well going in there, but it's another match. That's the thing, you get in there, it's another match. So I got pumped up more of his music playing, and when I go out to the ring and then all of a sudden his music comes on, that was pumping me up and getting my heartbeat going more than anything else. So, but no, yeah. And then you do it and then it's just, it's another match. So I get a lot of the young kids that are refereeing now that I help out. And the thrash shows and the prime time shows and that wherever I'm always helping them if I can. And, there's times where I'll give them the chance if the thrash or prime time's bringing in a main eventer, a former WWE star or something. I'll say, well, let this young guy do it. So, give them a chance to do it because the only way you're going to learn is to do it. So, and it's a big thing for them to be able to do that match and they could have it in their resume or whatever they keep track of. I never ever, if you want to know about me, you got to go ask Vance Nevada. I didn't keep track of every single match, like match refereed or match wrestled. I mean, Vance, he sent me something a few years back about, you beat this guy in this town in Calgary and this guy in this, and I said, I did. I said, I can't remember being in that town, and so, but and today all the kids, they keep track of how many matches they've had or not. You couldn't ask me how many matches I had or how many matches I referee because I don't care. And honestly, I don't care. I just wanted to be in the business and do my job, get my paycheck, and go home.
Chris Jericho brought out a book, I think it was last Christmas or the Christmas before, and he had written down every single match he ever had. And he
Yeah,
wrote
I saw that in his book. Yeah, amazing, eh? Yeah, amazing. And it's when you look back on things like that, you go, wow, 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 wow. So, but yeah, it's different. But the kids, they keep track of them today always now. They'll remember the towns they're in and what happened and all that. So I just went from city to city. I did this, I did that, I did this. That's so it totally different outlook today.
Coming back to Hogan then for a second, and you said you got accolades after the match. Did he personally thank you after the
Yes,
match
oh
then?
yeah, definitely
Yeah.
came in and shake a hand, big hug, and said you did a good job, brother. Very good job. So he knew your positioning was amazing in there. So yeah, so I think there was one spot in there where I think it was him and Boss Man. Yeah, him and Boss Man, or him and Bundy, off the ropes, and I just got out of the way for Hogan hitting the ropes because I didn't realize he was coming that quick in there, and I just moved
Mhm.
in time, which was good. So, but yeah, it's positioning and staying out of their way. So I just recently did a match with Braden Goss out of Thrash Wrestling, one of their top stars, and Austin Aries. And Austin just came in the back after. He says, "I loved it, kid." He says, "I didn't see you out there, Kevin. You weren't in my way at all. It's amazing." And that's what they like as a referee, is stay out of their way, let them do what they want to do. But like I've always say, be in their face, but give them space.
Mhm. Any memories of Andre the Giant, another polarizing character from that time?
Uh, there's a story, and I've probably told it many, many times. Kamloops, British Columbia. We were all we did a show for All Star Wrestling in Memorial Arena. And Andre was the main event, of course, the main attraction. And we were staying at a hotel, and it's still standing today. It's called the Plaza Hotel in Kamloops. And I we all went downstairs into the club that night drinking, and Andre was ordering the drinks like by a case at a time, of the beer coming to the table. And last call came, and we got last call, and then all of a sudden Andre's sitting there, and I feel like a midget because he was right on one side of me, and I think Claude Richmond or someone from the promotion was on the other side of me, and
Yeah.
I'm 5'6", 5'7", to begin with. So, but I wanted to get the last case, eh? And it says, "Here, I'll get this, boss." And his hand literally hit me here, and just my chair went back and everything. I said, "No, no." I says, "You made me money tonight." "No, no, no." So, and that was for the last call. And then after last call came, he wanted more. And the waitress says, "I'm sorry, I can't do that. I speak to the boss." So the manager of the club, either the manager or the owner, came over and says, "What's the problem?" Well, Andre pushed his chair back, stood up, and this guy just like this started just says, "My friends and I would like another round." So they brought another round to the table. We said, "Okay, this one, but that's it. Then you got to go. My staff has to go home." Andre went to pay. And the guy, "No, no, on the house, on the house." Andre slammed his hand down the table, and all of our bottles of beer sort of went like this, because of the heavy slap on the table. And we're going like, "What the heck?" And he goes, "Should have done it at the beginning of the night. We would have had everything off the house for free. Hey, we wouldn't have had to pay for anything." So we left there and went across the street. And for some reason, I can't think of the name of the place, but it was like a pizza and steakhouse. And we were walking in there to go eat. And literally, there's this guy intoxicated walking out towards us. As we're walking in the door, this guy stopped. All he saw was these like size 16 or 18 or whatever big feet, stood there, literally looked up like this at him and went like this, turned around, went back, sat at the table, put his hands on the table like this, and did not move. He did not move. He just sat there that whole time while we were in there eating. We left, and he was still sitting there, and you could just see him. We all thought after, when we went across the street back to the hotel, we all thought after he probably quit drinking after that night, after seeing a giant. So that's one of the I got with Andre. So yeah, very good time. But what a gentleman he is. He's just a true gentleman, and just amazing to be around. So yeah, just amazing
Yeah.
to be around with. As that playing crib with him in the dressing room, you can't see his cards because his hands are so big, so you don't know how many cards he's got left or anything. So, but a great guy to be around. Yeah, yeah, just amazing person.
hear nothing but positive stories about that man, and he would definitely would have got along well in here in Ireland. We're able to drink well over here as well. I think he
Oh,
would have.
he would have loved it over there. Yeah.
Any memories? This man was kind of in between, kind of your stint in there. He was kind of becoming into one of the big guys, the Undertaker, Mark Calloway. Do you have any interactions with him over the years?
We had met and that, so, but no, really interactions or anything like that. But what an amazing, talented professional wrestler he was. Even when he started out in Texas, just oh my God, the guy, just learned and learned and learned and learned. He put the WWF on a huge map. So yeah, just amazing. So
Yeah. We're going to talk about the 2023 Cauliflower Alley Charlie Smith Referee Award now, which you were presented with this year. You can see a couple of the other names in the background there that were represented there. Just we touched on it earlier. You said it's your proudest moment in the business, so I'd like to just
it is because I've been in the business now 40 some odd years, and it's the first time I've ever been honored anywhere. I've never been honored at any places. It was my first honor, my first plaque, and and to get it from the Cauliflower Alley Club, which I started going to back in, I think it was 96 or something like that, or 2000. I forget, 2006 maybe, something like that. So I started going to it. Ed Moretti used to always ask me, go to this thing. And I never did. I never did. I just thought, what is it? Is it just a big, so I went. And the first year I went to it, man, I just loved it. And I loved I walked in there, and the first thing I saw was Ted DiBiase, and he goes, "Oh my God, KJ, you haven't aged," and I hadn't seen him in a number of years, and started seeing a lot of the other guys, and actually that's where I met Ron Hutchison, who trained Edge and Christian and all that. I got to meet him, and I met him through Bobby Bass, and Bobby Bass happened to be there, and I hadn't seen Bobby Bass since my All Star Wrestling days. So Bob Johnson, who worked for Stampede Wrestling, was a front man for Stampede Wrestling. He says, "Do you know that guy standing over there at the bar?" And I said, "No, I don't think so." And he had a cowboy hat on. He says, "That's the legendary Texas Outlaw, Bobby Bass." Now, oh my God, I worked with this guy. So I went over and tapped him on the back, and we chatted, give a big hug to each other, and just, it was nice to reunite with him. So what I like about the Cauliflower Alley Club is it's it's a charity organization, and it's the only one around, and they help wrestlers, and all that with illnesses and all that. They can help a lot of people out and all that. So, but what I liked about it, it's all volunteers. Nobody gets paid to do anything there. They're all volunteers and all that, and they honor so many people each year and all that. But it's like a big family there. It's just a fun time to reunite with people you haven't seen in a long time, and that. So, and last year when Brian Blair phoned me up and said, "Kevin, we'd like to honor you in 2023 as the Charlie Smith referee." And I go, "Wow." He says, "Are you going to be there?" And I says, "I will be. Of course, I'm coming. I go no matter what. I go. Whether there's an award or not, I'm going." So it's just a highlight of my life every year now. So, and Vance Nevada was a big part of that. He honored me there this year, and to be honored with CM Punk and another fella that I worked with, Coco Beware, and Mickey James and all that, to be in the class of 2023 was amazing. But the biggest part of it was being able to finally be honored, and because I see so many of these people that get honored, and I go, wow, man, they've been in the business 5, 10 years, being honored here. Here I am. I've been hanging around for 40 some odd years, and I guess it's just I'm one of those guys. I just go in, I do my job and all that, and I'm not a vocal person or anything like that. So, but it was sure nice to be able to accept that award and and have the standing ovation that I got and all that. So I loved it. I loved it, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah, and it's a very illustrious list of people and growing as well. And
Oh,
I had Brian Blair on the show a couple of years back, and he's doing an amazing job there with looking out for the welfare of these guys as well.
him, Rich Engling, Darla Staggs, Ron Hutchison, Vance Nevada, all these guys that, that's just, they work their butts off, Dan Murphy and that they just, like I say, it's hours and hours of their own time to put this on together. And it's just an amazing event. And, it's back again in August, the end of August next year. And in 2024 at the Plaza Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. And yeah, I'll be there. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep going as long as I can keep going to it. I'll keep going to it. So, but like I say, in the 45, 46 years I've been in the business, to finally have a recognition, it was nice to have. So, so hope to see a few more, but you never know.
I'm
But
sure you will.
that was big. That was really big, and I really enjoyed it. So, and I thank them very much for it.
Yeah, and I believe actually my colleague Jack will be in attendance in Vegas next year, so you might bump into him in person
Oh,
there. Lucky
sure,
him,
yeah. You just make sure he comes up, and if he buys me a cold one, I'll shake his hand.
or two or three. What's
Yeah,
your beer? What's your beer of choice?
yes. Hey,
What's your beer of choice?
as long as it's wet, I'm like Ron Hutchison. Hand me a bottle of drink.
Exactly, exactly. The current product then, do you watch much of it? Do you keep in touch with everything? What
Oh
do
yeah,
you
I
like?
watch it. I watch it. Yeah. So I don't watch it on a weekly basis, but I watch it and I keep up to date on what everything that's going on and all that. You pretty well have to, because if you don't see it for a few weeks and then you just I keep an eye on it. So I watch a lot of the independent shows and keep an eye on the young people growing up in it and all that. And I tell all the young kids in it, the guys and the girls that are getting in it to don't be afraid to come up to me and ask me to critique your match or answer some questions, help you out and all that, because I'm there for you. If you want the help, I'll give you the help. So I'm always there for you. So I want to see it continue on after I'm gone too.
Yeah. Is the WWE Hall of Fame something that you would like to be involved in if there was an opportunity for that?
Oh,
Or do you see that
of course,
differently?
you'd like to be in anything, anywhere you're being honored, you'd love to be there. So, anywhere. It doesn't matter whether it's the huge big places or a small show in Toronto, Ontario, or wherever. You'd love to be honored no matter where. So I'm just saying that the Cauliflower Alley was the big, the first one to, and it was a big honor, and I'll carry that for the rest of my life. So
Yeah. Yeah, and congratulations as well on that.
thank you,
So look,
thank you.
if the fans want to keep in contact with your appearances, your refereeing appearances, etc., where is the best place to do that?
Well, like I say, I'm not, right now I do thrash wrestling through the Okanagan here in British Columbia, and I've been going up and doing some prime time wrestling shows. There's some companies down in Vancouver, but I haven't ever been, I haven't heard from any of the people down there for being booked on the shows down there or anything like that. So I'm just, I'm not running out. I don't run out and bang on doors, so. I've been around a long time, so yeah, far and few in between. I just do them when you get older and all that. You can't go 6, 7 days a week, but definitely enjoy being a part of them when they're around. And if the promoters are like to have me, I'm available all the time. They can find me on Facebook and that. So
Yeah. So definitely, have you put a number in your head, like in terms of years? How much longer do you want to do this, or have you got a
I'll, I'll
retirement?
keep
It's
I'll keep going until my knees can't do it anymore. That's pretty well it. So I love the business. So and even away from refereeing, if I can't referee, if they need me for something else, and just to help them out in dressing rooms or whatever, I'm there for it. So yeah, so I enjoy
do
the
you,
business. So,
do you think the amount of time you spent refereeing as opposed to wrestling has saved and conserved your body?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I've had two operations on my right knee, one for meniscus and one for cartilage and all that. And it's tough on the knees. It's tough on the whole body. I mean, moving around there. So, but I still go in there. Just recently there was a show in Kamloops, and Vance Nevada got a little too mouthy with me, and I just, I wasn't taking the scrap, and I turned around and I gave him a drop kick. So this old guy can still get up, he can still do drop kicks. I can still throw a punch. I can do what I have to do. I'm not crippled up or anything like that. So, and I'm the type of official. I go in there and I do my job. You do your job, and things will work out fine.
So what you're saying maybe is that you're open to wrestling as well.
I don't know about that.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, so I don't know. I couldn't sit there and rehearse something in the back. I just would go out and do it. So
Fair. The kids wouldn't be able to hang with that kind of mentality.
they'd be lost. So, or they'd be asking me what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
But no, I've like I say, I've always enjoyed the business, and I always will enjoy it. So I'll take it to my grave with me, and I hope it continues on. If kids can keep it going, good for them. I love it. So I tell a lot of people, get it when you get your chance. And there's an independent wrestling show in your town, go out there and spend the $20 or $30 and go to it. I'm telling you, you're going to get your money's worth. They're going to put on 4 or 5 matches in a hour and 45 to 2 hour show, and they're going to give you your money's worth, and you can go there and get your frustrations out and pick your favorites and pick the ones you hate and all that. But go out and go to these independent shows. They're just amazing to go see.
And that's exactly what I'm doing this weekend, because I don't know if you keep in contact with much wrestling over here in Ireland, but we are in the middle of kind of a little bit of a boom at the moment where the wrestling scene is thriving in this very, very small country. And I'm bringing my 2-year-old and my 4-year-old to a wrestling show on Saturday, about an hour from here, in a theater, sold out. They've been selling out shows all year, kind of family-friendly shows.
Yeah.
But all around Ireland, wrestling is thriving. We've had, like, Enzo Amore was in Dublin last week doing a show.
Mm-hmm.
We've had Rob Van Dam recently. Scotty Too Hottie was over a few weeks ago. Yeah. So all these guys are coming in, of the ex-WWE ilk, to pull in the casual audience.
Yeah,
but meanwhile, we have a stable wrestling, normal community audience here as well.
Yeah, it's funny. It's doing that over there, because here in Canada too, the same thing. Independent wrestling is just getting hotter and hotter again right now, which is, I'm loving it. When you can pack 400, 1,000 people in a building, and they're just small buildings, good for the promoters and good for the wrestlers. You're giving the people something where they want to come back to, and that's great. And I'm happy to hear that it's happening over there too. So sometimes people get tired of the big shows. They get tired of it. And you can go get 2 hours of amazing entertainment for $20 or $30, an independent show, and get their autographs and buy their merch and all that. And you're, what I've always said is, you're up close and in their face when you're at an independent show. So it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. I'm front row at our independent show with the kids on Saturday. $15, can't get better than that.
Yeah, where do you get entertainment for that? It's just amazing. Yeah, it's just great to have. So, and it's good to hear that it's flying over there, because it definitely is here in Canada right now too. So,
yeah, exciting times for everyone. Look, Kevin, I really appreciate your time on the show today. It was an absolute blast, and we might do this again.
Thank you, sir, for having me. It was great. I enjoyed it, and maybe down the road we can hit up together again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks a million, Kevin.
Thank you, sir.